Greetings, my friends. I am Dictor Van Doomcock, the future ruler of Earth, broadcasting from Section X Studios at the center of the Earth. And this is the Pop Culture Breakdown with Overlord DVD, a rundown of the top pop culture stories and rumors of the day. Yesterday, a bunch of stuff dropped out of ViacomCBS like manure dropping out of a particularly dim cow's backside. And so I thought I'd make a special edition of PCB with DVD focused on the post-mortem sodomization and organ harvesting of the Star Trek franchise by Kurtzman and Secret Hideout. For make no mistake about it, my friends, after over 4 years of constant abuse of the fandom, horrific scripts that redefine the concepts of incompetence and stupidity, and the utter trashing of Star Trek's rich history to the point where STD, like explosive diarrhea in an X-Lax factory, covers everything in the Star Trek franchise, Star Trek is dead. In this special episode, I'll be reviewing the Star Trek Discovery Season 4 trailer, the laughable Picard Season 2 trailer, and analyzing how horrific a failure Star Trek Discovery is for the benefit of any ViacomCBS investors out there who might be wondering if ViacomCBS is actually protecting their investments or just flushing their money down the toilet. Well, what's left of their money anyway, after ViacomCBS stock lost over half its value in just 1 week. My friends, our modern geek mythology is being methodically destroyed by feckless cultural vandals like Kurtzman and other people, unfit to write copy listing ingredients on the back of a cereal box. And now let's start by talking about why Star Trek Discovery is such a massive failure. Star Trek Discovery is the reason I created this channel out of sheer outrage and disgust that anything so relentlessly stupid had not only been created, but actually displayed for public consumption. Mine was a voice crying in the wilderness in October of 2017, shocked and dismayed that the surface world I was aiming to conquer was being degraded to such a disgraceful extent by scripts featuring sonar in space, an AI that was frantic to gather information about AIs so that it could become the AI it already was, since to have any desires is in fact to already be sentient, and a hero, or rather a her-zero, named Mikey Spock, so stupid as to aim at an enemy while pointing the phaser clearly at herself. Over and over and over again, STD shamelessly insulted Star Trek fans with revolting canon violations like giving Spock a human stepsister fashioned out of wood and old articles clipped from the marysue.com, giving Spock dyslexia and emotional problems, and turning Vulcans into xenophobic human-hating terrorists who tried to assassinate Spock's father for being married to a human. Yeah, infinite diversity and infinite combinations, my ass. They turned Klingons into idiotic Klingorks who lit the bridge of their ship with torches, changed the name of planet Vulcan to Nivar in acknowledgement of the fact that Alex Kurtzman will Nivar write a decent Star Trek script, and in utter and complete disregard for Gene Roddenberry, Kurtzman completely debased the very inspiration of Star Trek, the optimistic core of the show as established by Roddenberry, by introducing F-bombs, stupidly hateful characters saying moronic lines like, "This is the power of math, people," and "I like science." Anti-scientific magic mushroom drives that can instantly teleport you anywhere you want to go on the mushroom highway. And gore. Tons of gore as ugly as it was mindless, with eye gouging, severed baby heads, and a guy that looked like a mushroom chewed on by a turtle who refused to finish eating the mushroom named Saru, because after all, who can stomach anything on this disgracefully insipid show? But even worse, Star Trek Discovery and Picard were insults to the average viewer. Aside from not being good Star Trek, these shows were not even good entertainment. Some things are so bad they're good, like old sword and sandal movies starring Steve Reeves, but other things are just hideously stupid pieces of shit without any entertainment value whatsoever, like Star Trek Discovery. Artistically, Star Trek Discovery and Picard were horrific failures that alienated longtime Star Trek fans to the point where most likely they will never watch a new pseudo-Trek product from ViacomCBS again. Since fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, I got brain damage from watching this shit. But how is Kurtzman Trek in terms of financial success? Is it a success from a business perspective? Thanks to the blundering of CBS, we now have something approaching a definitive answer. In 2020, CBS made the hilariously disastrous decision, out of desperation or sheer stupidity, to actually broadcast Star Trek Discovery Season 1 in prime time on the CBS national network. This was insane because, finally out from behind the protective wall of pay-per-view on CBS All Ass, people, and most importantly, investors, could finally see, and more importantly, investors, could finally see for themselves hard numbers on just how successful or unsuccessful Star Trek Discovery is. And those numbers, my friends, are hilarious! Unless, of course, you're a ViacomCBS stockholder, in which case I wouldn't be laughing at the loss of money and intellectual property worth as a consequence of flushing so much money and IP value down the secret hideout toilet. Let's look at the numbers, shall we? Here are the ratings for the entire first season of Star Trek Discovery aired on CBS. Mind, while this show had been on CBS All Ass behind a paywall for several years, only the first episode had ever aired on CBS. The rest of it was brand new to the general viewing public. So how did it do, you may ask? Star Trek was once upon a time, before Kurtzman sprayed it down with his special brand of explosive failure, one of the most valuable and popular franchises in the world. And now, it couldn't even break 2 million viewers nationwide in prime time. Frequently, it fell far short of 2 million viewers, generally hovering around 1.4 and 1.6 million viewers again, nationwide in prime time with a captive audience held hostage at home by COVID. That's a lot of televisions and a lot of captive eyeballs and a complete and total lack of enthusiasm for this nasty parody of Roddenberry's Star Trek. But to get a real perspective on just how awfully Star Trek Discovery failed, and to understand how utterly ludicrous it is that ViacomCBS is once again ready to throw yet more money at this failure with a fourth season of upcoming financial waste, let's look at how Star Trek Discovery stacks up against other shows broadcast on the same night. Oh, it's kind of like someone metaphorically took the love child of Hiroshima and Dresden and then blew it up with some black cat firecrackers. Behold this portrait of suck. So to start off with, it was beaten, nay, trounced by a rerun of Young Sheldon. It was beaten out by 2 reruns of Celebrity Wheel of Fortune. It was beaten out by a rerun of a show called Be Positive, which I've never seen and have no idea what it is. It was beaten by Mom, a rerun as well. It was beaten by a new episode of The Unicorn. It was beaten by a new episode of Mr. Mayor. A new episode of Hell's Kitchen kicked the ass of Star Trek Discovery. Dateline, NBC, kicked its ass. Call Me Kat kicked its ass. A rerun of Law and Order, SVU, kicked Star Trek Discovery's ass. Last Man Standing kicked Star Trek Discovery's ass. STD could not withstand the onslaught of Superstore. And actually, I misspoke, folks. I see that Star Trek Discovery was beaten not once, not twice, but thrice by reruns of Celebrity Wheel of Fortune. It was beaten by Walker on the CW, for God's sakes. On the CW. The only thing that Star Trek Discovery was able to beat, in fact, the night it was aired, was on the CW, a show called Legacies again, which I have no idea what it's about. This is a portrait of failure, if I ever saw one, my friends. This is a portrait of utter and complete failure, where reruns are beating new broadcasts of Star Trek Discovery. And this was for, by the way, the night of the season finale of Star Trek Discovery. This is the ratings for the season finale of Season 1 of Star Trek Discovery. 0.2 in the 18 to 49 demographic. And as you can see, the percentage of demographic change, minus 4%. And the actual percentage of change in the ratings, for that last episode, it had 1.63 million viewers, and it dropped 8%. Over 8%, in fact. Not exactly numbers that ought to send investors shouting with joy into the street, are they? And this is a show that ViacomCBS is financing not once, not twice, not thrice, but 4 times. Shit, even in baseball you only get 3 strikes. You only get 3 outs in baseball, but no. ViacomCBS is going to that poisoned well a 4th time. Any way you cut it, it's clear from the ratings. If Celebrity Wheel of Fortune reruns can kick your ass in the ratings, you are a failure. Indeed, if Celebrity Wheel of Fortune, which is shot on a comparatively minuscule budget with no special effects at all at a fraction of the cost of Star Trek Discovery, can kick the ass of your once mighty Star Trek franchise in prime time, seems to me that your once mighty Star Trek franchise is dead. Certainly, there is no Star Trek Discovery merchandise in general stores, aside from maybe a few weird random pieces here or there, I don't know. But really, there isn't any new Star Trek merchandise in Target and Walmart and department stores, and that's because franchisees revolted against the truly ugly Kurtzman Trek designs. The highly successful McFarlane Toys, for example, initially licensed the new and degraded Star Trek Discovery phaser, but then canceled their order, realizing that no one wanted to buy parodies of Star Trek. They wanted real Star Trek. They wanted Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock, not the Mikey Spock wooden plank with severed baby head accessory. By their absence of merch shall ye know them, and thus do I know them to be failures. And, speaking of failures, why is Clarice relevant to Star Trek Discovery sucking and Picard sucking? Because they are all being dropped out of the same fetid bunghole, namely Secret Hideout by way of Alex Kurtzman. Secret Hideout is apparently, judging by the fruits of their labors, an anagram of utter and complete failure, created by a guy that doesn't know what anagram means. Probably a Star Trek Discovery staff writer, and by staff writer I mean guy what throws poop at a blank page, like a chimpanzee who, despite poor cognitive skills, at least eats a lot of fiber. Oh, they crank out a lot of stuff, in the same sense that a dog cranks out a lot of stuff, usually on someone else's lawn, but sadly, no one follows Secret Hideout around with a plastic bag to fix their messes, which leads us to the ratings for Clarice, which are terrible. As you can tell looking at this graphic, Clarice is once again near the bottom of the barrel, the second lowest rated show on the 4 big national networks, beating only the premiere episode of The Moodies, a show I never heard of, which is probably why it beat it, and 2 reruns of Penn and Teller on the CW, which doesn't have nearly the reach of the 4 major networks, so I'm not surprised. Again, why is ViacomCBS betting more money on a pony that finishes nearly last or dead last nearly every single time? Which leads us to the Star Trek Discovery and Picard trailers. How were they, I wonder? Let's find out. Let's start with the so-called Picard trailer, which shows us nothing but an empty room. That's Picard in a nutshell, folks. An empty parody of a show filled with things repellent to Star Trek fans. Star Trek Picard Season 1 was so bad, with Picard running around apologizing for the Federation, his maleness, his whiteness, that it has, I fear, forever changed how I view Star Trek The Next Generation. I can no longer see Picard as a character worthy of respect due to Kurtzman and Patrick Stewart creating this nasty, insipid parody of Trek. It was pure cringe all the way through, killing Data, killing Picard, killing logic itself, and ultimately, literally killing the entire Star Trek universe. I kid you not, folks. This show, literally in the story, killed the Star Trek universe. In the final episode, the android Soji, I guess that was her name, supposedly Data's daughter cloned from Data, even though Data has no DNA. You might as well try cloning a toaster. Opens up a portal and sends a distress signal to super advanced AI robots in another dimension to come and kill all life in our universe. These super advanced AIs start to come through the portal, but Soji changes her mind at the last minute and shuts the portal. As if that's gonna stop anything. In the minds of the idiots writing this crap, she saved all life in the universe. But in reality, everyone in the Star Trek universe is now dead, since a super advanced race of AI robots don't need Soji's portal. Since they're way more advanced than Soji, with vastly advanced technology, they don't need her help. Alerted that AIs have arisen in our universe and that those AIs are threatened by organic life forms, they can simply reopen their own portal, they do have that technology after all, come through and kill everyone, which is exactly what they did off camera after the show was over, and that's how Kurtzman and Secret Hideout, through sheer stupidity being unable to track even their own story, destroyed the Star Trek universe. So now we're getting a Picard Season 2 trailer. Aside from the business ramifications of wasting yet more money on this trash that is only digging a deeper hole for the Star Trek franchise that has lost its hardcore fans due to substandard writing like this, it's a complete mystery to me. But yeah, here we go apparently. It was an empty room with narration by Stewart blathering on about a bunch of uninspiring vague nonsense, along with part of a playing card designed to make Star Trek fans all excited at the return of Q. Problem is, A, Star Trek fans don't watch this shit anymore, and B, even if they did, they would cringe at the notion of Q being ruined by horrible writing, just as Picard was ruined, just as Spock was ruined, just as the Klingons were ruined, just as Tribbles were ruined, just as everything about the Star Trek universe was ruined by writers that know nothing of Star Trek and yet somehow manage to hate it. The trailer is slapped together with almost no money, not even showing a glimpse of Patrick Stewart, pretty much the shoddy bargain basement treatment we expect from Season 2 of Star Trek Picard. And the STD Season 4 trailer? Almost as empty as the Picard trailer. We see brand new uniforms that are 25% different parodies of Star Trek II Wrath of Khan uniforms, and the oldest of chestnuts, OMG, a threat to the universe that is 5 light years across? Oh my Gorsha hooties, I'm so excited! Not. In fact, I just laughed, because the last refuge of the creatively bankrupt is the size of the villain. Remember The Force Awakens? Remember how they made a really big deal about how huge the Death Star ripoff was? Oh, Starkiller Base kills entire solar systems rather than a single planet. Zowie! That means The Force Awakens must be that much better than Star Wars, cause see, the threat is so much bigger in actual life. Yawn. How did that work out in terms of story, eh? None of us can truly comprehend what it would be like to lose an entire race of people, their culture, their history, in one explosion. It's not personalized, it's not dramatized. Without caring about someone in particular on that planet, without some exposure to their culture, the destruction of Alderaan was mainly significant by the look of horror on Princess Leia's face. Otherwise, the destruction of Alderaan is entirely abstract, an idea without any emotional impact because of the enormity of the disaster. Same goes for the destruction of 10 planets, or 100 planets, or even 1,000. It's a lazy device to gin up phony excitement for a story with no characters and no excitement to speak of. Oh boy, here comes another scary cloud like V'ger or Galactus, 5 light years across. Oh, I'm so not excited. So the premise is more save the galaxy from a giant cloud threat bullshit. The costumes once again look like asymmetrical reprocessed ass, and it's still Mikey Spock, the bestest ever, crying like the emotionally stunted idiot she is in every scene. Wonder how this season will be. What do you think? If past is prologue, yet more money flushed down the secret hideout toilet by ViacomCBS. And even if ViacomCBS is getting someone else to pay for it, the cost is still sky high, because the cost is the very integrity of the brand and the loss of the fandom. And there is no way in hell you are ever going to get the fans back after all this abuse of Star Trek, Gene Roddenberry, and the very idea of human intelligence. Star Trek is dead, my friends. I just want them to stop sodomizing the corpse. And this has been another episode of Pop Culture Breakdown with Overlord DVD. From the center of the earth, this is Dictor Van Doomcock bidding you all, my friends, stay angry. Ha 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 ha